There are so many people in this world that put animal lives
Yeah,
on the same par as a human,
absolutely.
Or even above.
or even above. I've been kicked off so many snake Facebook pages because I love getting on them because I like ID and stuff. And it never fails. If someone posts a picture of a dead snake, they're going to get hammered.
Yeah, hammered.
Hammered.
A lot of them now, before they even, like, when they post it, they're like, this was
neighbor,
killed.
Neighbor.
Yeah,
Neighbor killed this.
Yeah, neighbor killed it.
Not my photo.
Yeah, not my photo. There you go. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get started. We're here with Hank Jenks today. I'm just going to read from your bio here.
Okay.
Hank,
Shouldn't take long.
yeah, 92 to 2002 with the Oklahoma Game Wardens. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. 2002 to 2019 state trooper pilot for the state troopers, for Oklahoma State Troopers.
Yep.
Editor in chief for the Oklahoma State Troopers.
Yeah, I actually retired from that, but I was the editor of their magazine.
Oh, okay.
So I started actually with the when I jumped over to the wildlife department, we had our association had a magazine or kind of had like a little newsletter, and I'm like, guys, we can do better than this. So we used the same company that the troopers use for their magazine, and I started editing it, and then when I edited it actually for probably 6 years after I retired, and then the Trooper magazine editor position came open, and I started doing their magazine.
Okay. And you just retired just a few years ago then?
Yeah, I did it. Trying to remember, I did it for a year or so after I left, and I just didn't have time, and I kind of bowed out and told them to find somebody else.
Yeah. And you were a pilot at K&D Aviation?
Yep.
Aviation?
Yep.
What was it that you did for them?
So we flew power lines. We flew like transmission lines, the big ones, the big 345 kilowatt stuff. We fly along, and I still do it. I've been on call all weekend if because I kind of fill in now. But we get down on top of those power lines and look. It can either be like looking for vegetation problems or encroachments. People building stuff under the lines.
Oh, yeah.
Or tree lines coming out under the line. Or we also, at certain times of the year, we'll go fly down and look for like structural stuff, messed up. And I also do some drone work for them too. We do use drones for the same thing.
Okay.
So.
Your personal drones or?
No, it's theirs. I kind of started that side gig, or not really a side gig. I talked the guy that I went to work for initially that owned K&D into buying a drone and doing that kind of work with drones, and man, it took off. And he sold the company, so he sold it he was kind of talking about it, and that's one of the reasons that I decided to. There's a long story, but I'll give you a quick story here because it's almost surreal, and I may have told you this, but so when I was a game warden the first time, if you had asked me, I want to tell this whole story, but I'll make it quick. If you'd asked me, I worked for 10 years. If you'd asked me at 9.5 years if I had ever to leave that position, I would have just laughed at you. But there was a couple of things. I'd started flying on my own. My wife and I bought a little airplane, and I'd just fallen in love with flying. And then I'd never really been around law enforcement, and I thought I was really starting to enjoy that. I mean, I was in the prime of my life. I was 30 or whatever, 31, 32, and so
Is that prime?
That's prime.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes down considerably from there. I hate to tell you, fellas, but and so we. I don't know. It had crossed my mind, and so a friend of mine, a game warden, had cancer, and he and I flew with him commercial down to Houston, and just kind of taking care of him, and I'm sitting in the lobby. He's having a treatment And I noticed all these people were just, something was going crazy. I mean, not there. I don't mean that. Everyone there's sick. You know, I don't know if you've ever been there. It's an amazing place, but it's a very sad place. You know, everybody's like, they're in tough shape. You know, they're in a spot. So anyway, at first I didn't catch my attention. Then I started like, what is going? I heard this little girl crying or like a teenager and talking to her mom, and she'd come out of her, you know, from the rooms. There's like a motel attached, and so anyway, long story short, then I heard someone talk about an airplane flying into a building, and I'm like, I'm gonna go back to my room and see what's going on in the news. Well, you know where this is going.
Okay.
9/11.
Yep.
So we got stuck down there. So his brother, who is also a game warden, he's retired, but he came and got us, because we couldn't fly home. And so we're on the way home, and he starts telling me this story about the highway patrol had started this, they call it a contract. If there was a position in your area, and they would give you this, it was for law enforcement officers, they would give you this kind of a contract that if you survived the academy, that you wouldn't have to move. And I thought, so I jumped ship. I jumped over, hoping that I would fly. I worked the road for about 4 years and flew the rest of it, and it was great. I mean,
So you flew how long total then with the?
I started flying probably in about 2005, and then full time I think in 2006, and then retired in 2019. So 13 years.
Wow.
But you're still flying though.
I still fly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, not to get off into the weeds, but you know we had a new governor come in, and the aircraft was always on the chopping block. You know, financially, we were, you know, you can buy a lot of airplanes, you can buy a lot of cars, patrol cars, for what you can buy a helicopter.
Right.
And I get that. So they basically dismantled the Trupo, we called it, and so I knew that I was going to probably not be flying, and I was looking at other places within the patrol. I should have probably stayed 3 more years. My retirement would have been a lot better. But so here's the story I want to tell you. When one day I was at Grove at our hangar, the helicopter was still there, and I get this text from this guy. So this guy he's Australian, and he was our mechanic, our highway patrol mechanic. And he moonlit for a guy that used to be a highway patrol mechanic that now has his own business. And he was moonlighting for him, and he sent me this picture of a helicopter. Middle of the day, and he's a horrible texter. Like, he'll text you, and then you'll never hear nothing. You know, you can, like, respond, and that's all you're going to get. And so he sends me this text, and it says, "Your new bird," and it's a picture of a helicopter. And I'm like, you guys going to buy a helicopter? You need a pilot? Because I was just like flabbergasted. This was 2019, March, and we were all these pilots were just, we didn't know what to do. I mean, we knew we weren't going to be flying and for the patrol anymore. And so he sends me this text. I texted him back 5 times, never answered me all day. Not a word. And now this is a true story. This sounds like baloney. It's an absolute true story. That was at Grove. That text came from Tecumseh, which is down south of Shawnee. That's where he was working that day. About 4 o'clock that afternoon, 5 o'clock, I knew that I was going to be going around to Ketchum, the other side of Grand Lake, and meeting some kids that had won a scholarship to fly. And they wanted me to I also instruct airplane. And so they wanted me to meet these kids and their parents. And so I'm standing there in this big hangar talking to these kids and introducing myself to a parent. And I heard a guy standing right behind me, goes, "Hank Jenks." He goes, "Someone told me you're going to be my next helicopter pilot." I turned around, looked at this guy, said, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, I get my phone out, and I'm like, "Is that your helicopter?" And he goes, "Why you got a picture of my helicopter?" I said, "I don't have a clue." I said, "A guy sent that to me today." And true story. And
Did you know the guy?
No, never met him. I was standing in his hangar. Little did I know.
Wow.
They used his hangar kind of as it was the biggest hangar
to do the thing
to do the little shindig. Yeah, It was a big foundation, and he was helping fund it. And yeah, And I'm like, so we kind of put two and two together. I said, dude, this is insane. I said, how did this even? And the deal was that he, if you backtrack this deal, he used the same mechanic for his helicopter maintenance, and he had told him that he should get in touch with me. But the fact that we ran into each other that day,
That's insane.
That is
it was crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, long story short, he has a construction company, still has a construction company. They do that kind of like power line work. They'll dig piers and build substations and that sort of thing. But he started this side gig where he flies the lines too, and then he sold it. 2019. I'll finish my story. 2019, 2020, 22. 3-4 years later, the same guy that I went to Houston with calls me up and he goes, the Delaware County game warden spot's open. And I'm like, no, Jerry. Oh, anyway.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to mention his name. It's all good. I said, no, I'm not going to come back to the wildlife department. And I had stayed in touch with those guys, and this is the best job I ever had. But
Man, this is a long time.
it's 20 some years later.
20, yeah.
I was 53 and went back through their academy. 53. I had to go try out, go.
Now, what position was open then? Was it what you have now?
No, so
Okay.
had no. I knew it was probably coming open, but I had no plans of ever promoting.
Yeah.
I thought maybe someday I might promote to lieutenant or something, but I really didn't know that I wanted to do that. So I talked to Lucy. We cussed and discussed it, and I decided, you know what, I was kind of burnt out on, because I went from, not that the patrol didn't fly a lot, we flew a lot, but you're doing that kind of work, working for a private company. I probably flew more hours a year or two there than any pilot. I mean, legitimately, you're flying as much as any helicopter pilot in the country. Way more than Airy-back. I mean, I flew 1,000 hours one year.
Oh, wow.
Imagine, there's 2,000 work hours in a year. I flew half.
You
of that.
flew half of them.
Golly,
Gone
that
all
is
the time.
crazy.
And it's a great job, but it's a dangerous job too, very dangerous.
Yeah.
And so
Especially being around power lines.
Oh,
Like what you said.
yeah, you're down in that what they call the wire environment all the time. That's where we live in that. And
No
it's,
thanks.
It's spooky.
No
I mean, So anyway.
So now you're first captain. I don't know what.
So there's
district.
in Oklahoma there's 77 counties, and there are 8 districts in the wildlife department, field districts that are broken up, so they each have 10 counties. Mm-hmm. And so I promoted like a dummy, put in for it and promoted to the district chief or the district captain. And so I'm over. If you think of basically, if you cut Oklahoma into 4 quarters, I'm over the north half of the northeast quarter. So I go from the Missouri, the corner, over to Ponca City, not into Ponca City, but right there to the edge of the river.
That's a big area.
And then back almost to Stillwater, not Payne County, right along the top of Payne County, and then all of Tulsa, and then back to Arkansas.
Okay.
I have, there's 16 folks that are two lieutenants and 14 game wardens under that. So,
Do you need a degree to be a game warden? I was thinking you did, but I wasn't exactly sure.
Yeah,
So you have to have the degree, and then you have to go through the test as well.
Yeah. So in Oklahoma, you have to have a bachelor's degree to put in for not every position at the wildlife department, but for the biologist position, the game warden positions, we're about the same on the financial realm. If you like an area biologist and game wardens and everything above that, if you will, requires. So yeah, you had to come in with a bachelor's degree, and then there's 2 things you have to do. You have to go through our academy. We started having our own academy back. This was the 5th one, I believe, that we had this year. Starts typically in March and goes, about 3 months. And then if you're already certified police officer, you would start our field training program. Otherwise, you had to go to CLEAT, which is Oklahoma's law enforcement training, and don't get me a line, I think it's 12, 15 weeks long. So they're in training. I worked with a kid today that he'll be in training for a year before he's truly bluely out on his own. So
Wow.
And are you guys like I don't want to say like understaffed, but are you guys like short? I just asked that because I've heard
no,
that.
it's a fair question. We always have openings because our academy is gotten fairly tough, and it's also our field training program is pretty rigorous. I mean, we put folks through everything, and so like this year alone in our academy, our attrition rate was about 50% of where we started to where we finished. We started, I think, 10 guys, and now there are 5 that are still in the field training program, and I think there's at least 6 or 7 openings. It used to be. I'll probably say that more than once, but it used to be. Back when I got hired, you had to have the bachelor's degree, but they would have this test every year, and you would drive to Oklahoma City, and I think maybe prior to that you had to send in your degree, and maybe it was after, I don't know. Anyway, everyone would go take this test. There was 300 people show up to take the game warden test, and they would take the top however many and put them through a background, and go through. I mean, they were like, and that's changed. They do a lot of that through differently now. Back then, they had a game warden that did all of the backgrounds, and he was knocking on doors at Concord. He went to the school. He was talking to old girlfriends' mothers. I mean, he was. It was unbelievable how in depth. He knew everybody that I ever. Talking to anybody I'd ever worked for, and so that's changed a lot. You can get a lot of that probably online or through an outside company. That they don't go. It's not quite as in depth personal, but our training is much greater. I didn't have to go through an academy the first time I came. So, I had to go through the CLEAT Academy, but we didn't have our own academy. And our academy, we double. There's certain things that we'll have firearms and defensive tactics and ground fighting and all of that stuff that they're going to get again when they go to CLEAT. But then we also have different classes on wildlife enforcement techniques and fisheries and how to drive a boat and how to back a trailer and how to all of that stuff that's specific to the job.
Who is our warden here in Delaware County now?
So we have 2 here in Delaware County. It's Riley Willman, who's been here for I think 4 years, and then Chris Newkirk.
It used to be Cody Moore.
Well, yeah, we've had Cody Moore and Cody Morris. We're both here. Now they're both in one county together. So if someone calls with a complaint, I have no idea who they're talking about. We make a lot of jokes about that. Cody Moore and Cody Morris are the Mays County game wardens.
I used to call. I got Cody Moore's number. I knew he's the game warden around here, and I used to call him with a bunch of, like, if I ever had any kind of question, I would just call
Cody
it.
was here,
and now I call
quite
him.
a while.
Yeah.
The Cody Moore was here, I believe, considerably longer. Cody Morris came here. He was actually a Kansas warden and came here and came to work for us. And now they're, like I said, they're both in Mays County. So.
Well, so.
And I don't know. I think I got sidetracked there. Chris Newkirk actually hired with me, and he's the other Delaware County warden. So.
Okay. One of your questions was about how it was confusing. Some of the
One of the things that I was just spitballing questions to ask you, and I guess I would start the question by saying I don't know the protocol in which the regulation book goes through.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of things in the regulation book that is confusing.
challenging.
Yes. Like, I mean, we try to do everything right.
Sure.
And I think you guys realize that as game wardens when somebody is trying to do everything that they can right. But there's things in there where, and I'll be honest, like I've been caught doing things that I didn't know I was doing wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
there's just things that are confusing. What is the, I guess, what is the,
Reasoning behind that.
how does the, how do those, what's the order of operations that it takes for a rule or a regulation to become a regulation?
Sure. So the answer, well, I'll answer that in just a second. But I probably shouldn't, but as a game warden, I 1,000% agree. And what's crazy is as a game warden, I go to another state and I'm just freaked out because I'm sitting, in the camp or in a motel room or for months before I go studying their regulations.
Yeah.
Because I'll give you, for instance, like I went to, we went on a motorcycle ride, but I took fishing gear and was in Colorado, and that is the most confusing thing. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
their regs are so area specific, and you can use a hook here, and you can't use a barbed hook here, and this little creek is you can do this until it turns this way, and then you can only do
It's crazy.
I'm a nervous wreck. It takes a lot of the fun, honestly, out of hunting for me, out of state, because obviously I have to follow the rules. So I think all of our states are that way, and I think it's the nature of what we do. Most laws. If you looked at Oklahoma law on just in general, whether it be traffic or nothing really changes. It's all specific to. There's a few little regulations that change over time or laws that change over time, but it's all. They're not trying to manage this resource that has 100 different critters in it, and they all have different areas. And Oklahoma's known for being such a diverse. There's so many different ecosystems in Oklahoma. Everything from the high. I mean, we have the mountainous areas out in the far west, Cimarron County. To you go to the southeast corner, the very southeast corner.
Where we're at here, we're like on the edge of the Ozarks.
Yeah, you can take off here and
you
go
got
northeast, and it doesn't change. Even you could be in Pennsylvania and it looks just like it looks right here, Oak Hickory.
Yeah.
You can go down, just a little way south and you're in the mountains. You can go just a little bit further south, getting truly in the southeast corner. It looks like Louisiana. You're in the swamp.
Yeah.
We have alligators, lots of alligators.
Is that right?
Oh yeah.
What in the world? I did not know that.
In Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I did not know that.
Yep. Well, I don't know the numbers honestly, but there's a bunch, and we get them as far. I mean, we get them even on Lake Texoma. There'll occasionally be one show up there, but yeah, you get in the like along the Red River, some of those sloughs off of the Red River, and there's a lot of alligators. So we don't have season on them. But
So there's a lot of diverse.
it is diverse.
A lot of critters, a lot of different types of critters in Oklahoma, and that's
Yeah.
I didn't know if you started with through biologists saying hey, this is how many we have here, this is how we need to regulate it.
Yeah.
And then somebody
and that's probably I hate to say part of the problem, but it's we have a law enforcement division, we have a fish division, we have a wildlife division, we have a communication and education division that they put all that stuff together. And so there's two types of things that can happen. In Oklahoma, we have really two sets of. We have Title 29, and that's just all of the Oklahoma wildlife laws, and it sets title. It's the same way that Title 47 is what I enforced as a trooper. That's rules of the road basically, and tags and that sort of thing. Well, Title 29 covers Oklahoma, and I wouldn't say generic, but it covers things like spotlighting and shooting from the road and that sort of thing. But then it covers some specific area stuff. But then we have a Title 800, which is kind of our administrative title. It's state statute, but it's where we put in things that are more fluid, bag limits and that sort of thing that change a lot. And so there's a process on there. We can't just jump in and change one of those and forget to tell everybody. It's hard.
To go through.
It goes through a long process. So the Title 29 typically comes. A lot of that, legislators can even, they can submit a bill that that says we only do this for deer, or we do this for commercial operators, or like commercial deer breeders or whatever. And then Title 800 is more, if we want to change something, we have to go through a process. It has a committee that looks at it. Yeah, that's reasonable. And then we submit it. It goes through a public hearing process. Those were really popular back when I first started, but we'd have a public hearing. And if there was something on it that was maybe a little bit, not popular, there would be a ton of people show up at those, and now we don't get as many people that show up to them as we used to. But we try to get folks, and we try to and listen. We make mistakes. There are things that we try that I'll give an example and just to put the word out. The thing this year that was hugely unpopular was the legislature basically told the wildlife, they come out with a bill that they wanted to know how much activity we were getting on our wildlife management areas, and we really didn't have a good system to say, well, we have 5,000 people come into Spavinaw last week. And so, but they were more concerned in hindsight over non-residents so that we could justify, certain things, maybe even limiting how many people can go there. I don't know what the final intent of it will be. Well, our regulations, if you have a paper regulation, it says that residents and non-residents have to do that. Didn't go over well at all. It basically said that residents and non-residents had to go on, and we were developing a system of where they would go on and check in at all. If you were going to go over to Spavinaw, you had to check in, and then you had to check back out. And there was a million questions. It probably, maybe in hindsight, we jumped on it a little too fast. And so I think the legislature, that was not their intent. Their intent was for non-residents, for us to see how many folks we have coming from out of state. And so it got changed by emergency rule to just non-residents have to check in. So not residents don't have to, but if you look at the regs, if you have a paper copy of the regs from Walmart, it'll say that residents do too. So we're getting tons and tons of calls, and so that kind of got squashed. So now it's just non-residents. But
what was the point to do that was just to see how many were using the.
Yeah, I think it was to see,
maybe safety.
Yeah.
Of some.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we really, and I honestly, part of me, I think that's what the folks that decided to do residents and non-residents went, you know what, this is probably good information to have. It'd be nice to say we had 200,000 visitors last year to Spavinaw, and this were the weekends where they were busiest. And of course, folks start thinking, well, the game warden's going to be watching, and if I don't check out, he's going to write me a ticket. And that was not the
intent
behind that at all. But it was mainly just for numbers and to see where we were at on activity and to see how many. We get a lot of complaints. Especially probably more like in some of our waterfowl areas, we got a ton of non-residents, which that's great. They pay, they pay a lot of my salary, and but we probably need to know, in those areas that we're getting complaints about residents can't even find a place to park, doesn't go over well.
Yeah.
So it's mainly just to kind of get an idea of where we're at and how many folks we have, and we can use that data. Data's everything in this world.
Yeah. You were talking a while ago. We were talking about the diversity of Oklahoma and all the different types of wildlife that are here. And I'm sure you get this question a lot. Maybe you don't. I don't know. I mentioned it to Logan earlier. Mountain lions. He already knew what I was going to ask.
What? No, Black Panthers.
Are they here? Are they here?
I have seen probably in the last 30 days. I've seen two. One,
Wow.
no, not Hank. Two 100% mountain lion, either trail cams or videos from Oklahoma. I mean, 100%.
Yeah.
One of them, I know the guy that took it with his trail cam. It came from out in western Oklahoma. But here's kind of always been our take on mountain lions is that we have a few around. We track them. We've been tracking them for. We have a guy that's I don't know if it's not his only job, but it's one of his jobs is to track reports, and we might get on average.
Fun job.
It would be. I'd say on average, and you know how many people have trail cams out.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
If you took off walking from here to Concord,
I'm surprised we haven't caught Bigfoot in it yet.
I know that's so disappointing.
Not one.
Man, I want someone to get Bigfoot on.
Yeah.
I believe, but so we get maybe I'm going to say less than 5 a year that we
Really?
get confirmed true blue. Go out, find a track, or they confirm the location and they're convinced.
Now hold on a minute. Now
Yeah.
there's a rumor that that the state of Oklahoma turned loose
No.
mountain lion in Flint Ridge, wasn't it? Like 20 of them or something, so take care of the deer population.
Right. That's been floating around.
Yeah.
And if they did, they forgot to tell anybody about it. I've never seen any documentation on it. But what we have been telling people, and I'm starting to think we're wrong, because I'm going to throw one caveat at you if you haven't heard this. We've been telling people for years that their cats, they're typically always juvenile males looking for a girlfriend, and they either come out of the there's a population out in the Panhandle. It's a established population, not a ton, but I would say I've heard as many as 20 maybe that roaming around Cimarron County. They either coming out of Cimarron County and they get on a riverbed and just take it, because that's how they.
Yeah, they travel a long ways.
Or out of like the Dakotas, and that's what we've been telling people. Well, back at the first of the year, I had one of my lieutenants send me a picture, and he goes, "You need to study this." And this was, we'll just say, from around Tulsa, and it is a mama and some cubs, 100%, like three cubs, and at first I thought, "Oh my Lord, well I can't explain this. How am I? I'm eating crow on this," but and then the department came out and kind of put it out there. I don't know if you saw that.
I don't remember.
I don't remember if they showed a picture. I think they showed some pictures. I saw it was legitimate. Now, do I really think, and I'm probably going to hurt some feelings with some folks out there, because there are, it's like if you get to asking, everyone's seen one, and I just don't. There's, a big bobcat is a big cat. I mean, I've seen some huge bobcats. Now, obviously, if they have a tail like a baseball bat, it's not a bobcat. But whether or not, and then the whole black cat thing is just another, don't get me started on that.
Grandpa, my grandpa's all, that story's been floating around.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we definitely have some cats around. I don't know how many.
And I don't know if they do now, but didn't for a long time, like the state of Oklahoma, they didn't acknowledge that they were here.
No.
Or that's what I was always told.
I think my first stint, I don't remember really ever seeing a confirmed sighting, but we didn't really track them as much. And I think there's a lot of folks that are educated in this wildlife biology that just don't believe they were here. And I'm probably one of them that has been proven. I've found out otherwise. Now, whether I think everybody and their dog has seen one, no. I think it would be. I think it's a needle in a haystack, really. Even now.
I know for me and Logan, I don't think you have either, but I've hunted and hunted and hunted my whole life. I'm 39 and I've got lots of trail cameras out every year, and I've never seen one.
No. And I keep some, honestly, like at my place down on Watts. I put one up on a ridge, really just because it's on a ridge overlooking the river, and I just want to see what comes through there. I mean, you'll see all kinds of crazy stuff, but
Yeah.
but I've never seen a mountain lion. Of course, I've never seen a bear in Oklahoma. I've had them on my cams, and I've seen one, but it was a baby in a den, and I saw the mama. I've never seen a bear out roaming alive, I mean,
I never.
and we know they're here. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we have season. There's tons of them, but
Mm-hmm.
that's a treat. That's not something everybody can say. And so they're pretty. They're cats are nocturnal, but we get lots of calls.
Well, we've got a lot of bobcats, and bobcats aren't just something you see
No,
real regular.
I'd say in my life I've not seen 20. Out driving around.
Yeah.
And that's all I do is drive around for years and fly. I mean, that's another thing. I spent 3 years of my life flying. Well, more than that. I spent all that time with Highway Patrol, but I've spent 3 years down low looking on the power lines, and that's all I was looking for, making sure I wasn't running over stuff. But that's the first place I saw a bear was from the air, was in Arkansas, and I screamed, and the guy thought we were crashing. I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, what? And he could fly, and he was like trying to grab the controls. I'm like, I'm fine. Come around. I said, I want to show you something. And we come around, and there was a bear. It was down there, by Waldron, Arkansas. Yeah, 100% bear. Took off running. We didn't chase it, but we could see it, watched it run through the woods.
Did you see the hairless bear that I filmed? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was south of
That's Prairie Grove.
Prairie Grove, about 13
Really?
miles. I was doing some work for the guy. He bought 200 acres to hunt on, and bear hunt, turkey hunt, deer hunt, and so I was just showing my mom and dad the property. They came down there just to see it, and I think I had Holden with me, and me and Holden and Dad driving their side by side up this thing, and I didn't have my phone because there's no cell phone service, but Dad thankfully had his phone with him, and we were just cruising through there, and man, we come up on this thing that looked like, I really thought it was Sasquatch.
Chupacabra.
It was the craziest looking thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like a man on all four.
Yeah.
His back, his lats, and his pecs and everything looked like us.
They look nasty without any hair.
And this dude turned around and looked at us, and his back was, I mean, he was a huge bear that was totally skin and bones because there was something badly wrong with him. But, Dad said, Dad, do you have your phone? And he said, yeah. I said, give me that thing. I filmed it, and we tried to kind of follow it into the woods, and we filmed it for just a few seconds, but it was a treat to see a bear, And they've killed some bears down there, and some big ones. Yeah. There's a giant down there.
I've seen several in Colorado, but I've never seen any in Arkansas or Oklahoma. Never had.
Yeah.
But my wife, her grandpa, Chuck, he lives in Madison County, kind of over there by Clay Newcomb.
Yeah.
And he's got a house out there just, in the middle of nowhere. And he'll get them, come up on his porch and stuff. He's got pictures, Polaroid pictures of them.
What towns is Madison County? What?
Combs.
Yeah.
Combs
okay.
is where it's real close to White Rock.
Crosses.
Oh, White Rock. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, just north of.
Where did we go over there to the big giant mountains to find Stacy? What's? I remember driving past a town named Deer or something like that.
Oh yeah. It was further on east of there.
Yes, by a lot.
It's about an hour straight north of Russellville.
Yeah. Okay.
Where it was. I don't know if there are any towns.
Oh my gosh.
Big country.
It was unreal.
I'll never forget that.
No.
That was.
I would like to go back to see it again. Honestly, I told you about the river.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I want to go catch some smallmouth out of that place.
That was going back to Sam's story. That was one, and you guys, you and Jeremy showed up, and was it Will? Did Will?
No,
somebody, one of your boys maybe. I thought somebody came with it. Just you two.
Just us two. Yeah.
But I called. of all the people in this world.
Before we get started, for some
Yeah.
clarification to everybody, Stacy is your
So Stacy is my niece.
Yes.
She's my oldest sister who passed away. Susie, it's her daughter. She's
My age.
before I throw her under the bus here. She's super intelligent, neonatal nurse, supervisor, very responsible, and
just likes the outdoors.
she likes to hike, and
likes
she's
to
loves
hike.
hiking.
she's not afraid to go by herself. So her mother called me. Was it Memorial Day? Like the Monday, Memorial Day. And I picked up the phone, and Susie would call me, but she didn't call me at 7:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the phone thinking, So I picked it up and said, hello. And she's crying. And I said, what's going on? She goes, Stacy's missing. And I'm like, oh my Lord, what's going on? She goes, she went on a hike over in, way over in the boonsticks in Arkansas. And
Which was several hours from where she was working at.
yeah, it was like oh my gosh, it took us like 4 hours to get over there.
Forever. Yeah.
And she didn't come in that night. Her husband had called Susie, and they were talking, and this was like the next morning. She'd been out all night. And I'm like, okay. I said, well, let me round up some resources, and I'll head that way. And so Sam was the first phone call I made. I'm like, I'm trying to think of who I could, who would be able to go and hike in that country with me. And I had no idea this was like a giant manhunt. And matter of fact,
Oh man.
when I got over there, and we didn't know what had, if there was foul play or someone had abducted her or if she was just truly missing and there was, people everywhere. And one thing I learned that day I did not know is the sheriff, who and I had become Facebook buddies. That's like the number 4 county in the nation for large-scale missing person searches.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And they brought out resources I've never seen before.
Oh, yeah.
So
They were kind of used to.
they were. There's
That
game
that
wardens
place
everywhere.
gets somebody's lost all the time in that place.
Are there a lot of maybe like cave systems in it?
It's more of a waterfall that's known for its waterfalls. There are waterfalls everywhere, but I'm talking. This was as rough country as I've ever been in anywhere out west, anywhere.
Really?
I mean, and it's these these hollows around here. These were like 5 times that deep, and there wasn't a place a piece of grass as big as this room anywhere in that area. And so Sam jumped in, and off we went. Andy jumped in with us, and we got over there and started kind of, I was just giving her story, and we were trying to piece together where she had been. And
Didn't I think I heard this. Didn't she make a phone call or something, and the call like got dropped? But people knew where she was.
I think,
yeah.
yes. They knew roughly where she had went, and so that's the reason I was able to jump in and head straight there. She wasn't like missing, but Susie kind of knew. And I forgot. I talked to a lot of people. Talked to her husband. Talked to Susie. I ended up calling maybe the Arkansas State Police, and we get over there, and there are game wardens everywhere, and it's Forest Service land, so there's Forest Service guys there. There was the Arkansas State Police had their helicopter up flying around.
They have dogs.
I don't remember if they had dogs. They had drones. You know what? One of the craziest stories of this was when we found her. Now she was emaciated. She'd been outside, no water, no food for about 48 hours, I guess. And it rained like the entire time.
Oh my gosh! When we left, it was a monsoon.
Sam and I that night, to backtrack a little bit, when we about 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, decided let's go to Russellville and sleep for a couple hours. We're not doing any good in the middle of the night. It might have been earlier than that. It might have been midnight, 1 o'clock. We drove to Russellville, got a room, slept, and it was raining cats and dogs. And we counted. We lost count. We didn't lose count. We counted. It was either 12 or 13 copperheads crossing the road on a little stretch of dirt road. This was the wildest place I think I've ever been in my life.
Oh yeah.
But we, come back the next day, and they ended up, there was like an Amish. There was this group of like, they have this system of looking for somebody. And I think they were Amish. And I mean, they were elaborate. They pull a trailer up. You know, and the state police was there with this big trailer, big command post. And
Yeah, it was
impressive.
It was.
And, but, so they show up and found her. But when I'm talking to her, and they just were walking inside, you know, they stay close enough. They've got a system. They stay close enough that they could see each other. And we just walked up on her. And they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" And she's like, "I'm okay." And she was a little out there. I mean, she was, you know, out of fear and all that stuff. But she thought that, so there was a drone that flew down that drainage and got really close to her in hindsight. And it had a speaker on it. And it was saying, "Stacy, this is Arkansas State Police, come out." Well, she had also heard the helicopter the night before. She said the helicopter landed and got out and the pilot talked to her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, she was having some, you know, she was dehydrated. She was having, and once she come around, she started realizing, you know,
yeah,
you know, that's what happens. And most people that are in those survival type situations, they're people that have run from help, you know, because they're out of fear. And, but anyway, we come back, we logged into command post, Sam and I have a picture of him in his underwear crossing the creek because he didn't want him and Andy both in their underwear. And we hike way up into this deal, come out the next evening, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna have to call my sister tonight and tell her we're 48 hours in and no go.
No doubt.
And I was at about a 10% in my mind of finding her.
Mm-hmm.
And we come out and we pull up into that command post, and it would be her brother-in-law, her husband's brother and sister were standing there, and we pull up and they're like, "Where you guys been?" I said, "Well, we've been at, you know, over here." She goes, "Well, they've been looking for you." And I said, "Well, the command post knew where we were at, and we didn't have radio communication, nothing. There's nothing down there." And I said, "Well, the command post knew where we were." And she goes, "Oh, okay. She goes, "They were just looking for you." And I said, "Okay." This went on for like a minute. And I'm like,
"Why are they looking for you?"
"Did they find her?" And then she went, "Yeah, they found her." And I went, "Is she alive?" And she went, "Yeah, she's fine." And I'm like, "Oh my Lord." So yeah. But I've been forever indebted to Sam Amos for helping me with that. That was during the stint that I wasn't working in law enforcement. I was probably on helicopter calls, because I was on call every day, and I called my boss and said, "I'm going to be gone. I don't know when I'll be home, but I'm going."
So I got to tell you that my first job, you know, being a pastor, when I got home, I had the same feeling you had. I was like, man, there's no way. When we left, I can't remember how much rain it was, but it was like 8 inches or something, wasn't it?
It poured all night long.
Yeah. And we thought, man, if she survived up until that point, there's no way she's going to survive that. It was cold. It wasn't like it was hot, you know. And so I went to Susie's house, and I was prepared to be there with her when she got the worst news.
Right.
And the some news anchor called. She got the word that they found her, and she had just been on the phone with Susie just a few minutes before that, giving her an update of things, and then so she called back, and Susie said, "Well, she's calling back," and we were all sitting in the living room, and she answered the phone, and she said, "Hello," and she said, "Hey, they found her," and Susie was just like, they found her? Is she alive? And the lady was just hysterical, saying, "Yes, she's just fine." And an eruption of emotions. I'm talking an eruption, and I'm sitting there going, "There's no way."
Yeah.
And I'm watching her sisters and her and, all the rest of the family just go crazy. I mean, just like the biggest celebration. And I got this vision of what heaven was like.
Right.
Like, I got the vision of when one soul saved, that all of heaven celebrates.
That's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
When a lost person is found, my gosh, I'm telling you, it was incredible. It was one of the peak moments of my life to see that.
Yeah.
To be there for that moment was incredible.
You actually preached about that.
Yeah,
a couple Sundays ago.
just like 2 Sundays ago.
Yeah, it was 2 Sundays ago.
And I'm sitting here thinking, man, we need to get Stacy on here, and like,
Oh yeah.
I would love to hear her story.
Yeah.
Maybe she remembers a little more of it now, but
She's done a few talks on it, I think, or one or two.
Yeah, I bet. going back to that, you see all kinds of it's a good thing she told people where she was going,
Yes.
and us as hunters, I'm really bad about it.
yeah,
Like I'll go out to some, whenever I lived in Arkansas, I would go out to Weddington, WMA. Well, that's a pretty big place.
yeah, it is.
But if I don't tell my wife or anybody where I'm going, what I'm doing, they have no idea where to look.
Yeah,
And it's just, which the country around here isn't as big as the country
It's
as where
kind of
Stacy
funny.
was.
Chase is talking about this because me and Bobby and Chase all decided we was going to do Life 360 and just have it, but Chase has neglected to turn his location on. Me and Bobby's like, well, we don't know where Chase is.
But I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff where, people fall out of a tree stand and, you break a leg and or break 2 legs and
Yes.
you're
Oh, man.
I think it's
2
one-
miles away from anything. You're going to have a hard time getting to somebody.
Oh my God.
It's
Or you
something
break your
have
back.
to do. You absolutely, and even if you don't want to tell your buddies, tell somebody where you're going to be going, because it can be. There's so many times we get calls, and even around here, you'd be surprised how many missing person calls we get. There's a lot. Nothing like over there, and it's usually in some of the, a handful of areas that we have around here, like Spavinaw and it's like, man, if you know where they're at roughly, at least you can a direction.
Yeah.
I mean, we might still be looking for her if literally.
Yeah.
If they hadn't known where to send all those resources and knew kind of roughly where she put in at.
Yeah.
So
That kind of jumps me into the next thing. You mentioned that they were flying drones to look for her. Were those drones thermal?
this was probably. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I think so.
I think they were.
I
I think it
think
was
they
a
were.
Matrice, like a Matrice 300 or something back in its infancy, or whatever came before that one. But it was. I'm pretty sure it was. I know it had a speaker on it.
Yeah.
So
And you probably know where I'm going with
I kind of figured that.
What's your thoughts on deer recovery
Thermal.
with thermal drones?
I think it's. Well, I'll give you my answer. Let me say this. One thing that's my full-time gig, like your pastor, and obviously that's why I'm sitting here. And so one of the things we do is, as a captain, is I have a lot of input into regulations. What's going, what are our problems? What do we need to fix? And so drones, and especially thermal drones, they're the wave. And if you look around, most states don't allow them for deer recovery. Hardly any of our surrounding states. Mm-hmm. And I think that we need, personally, I think if you have a resource, why would you not use it to to aid people in finding a deer and B for the animal. I mean, so where that goes, we're working on regulations. They're not in place. I'll preface it with that. They're the kind of what we think is going to be the end all, but I think it's going to be something that looks like, because of the timing system of what I was telling you earlier, we can't just come out with an 800 rule, and if it's an emergency, we can. That's not an emergency. Maybe it is, but it's been deemed that it's going through the process. And so I think what's going to end up happening is you'll be able to use them, or it'll be in regulation. What we're telling folks right now is treating them just like dogs. You can't, our regs do not address using them for recovery purposes, but you can't have a weapon in the field while you're searching, and you can't use it to hover over the deer while you walk in and shoot it, obviously. But I think what'll happen is you'll be able to go, if you find the deer and it's down and dead, you'll be able to go recover it without a weapon. And if it's alive, then you won't be able to hunt for a certain amount of time. I think that's what it'll end up kind of.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What about locating deer with a drone? What is that? What is that rule?
It's it's a very interesting area. It's one that obviously you can't go out and use it as a means of locating and walking up on a deer. That's
that kind of goes back to like the whole thing in Alaska or whatever. You can't hunt on a day that you fly.
right. And that's where our
Really?
No.
If you fly in, like in Alaska, if you're flying in to some remote area to hunt moose, it doesn't matter if you
24
land.
hours or what?
I think Alaska it's 24 hours.
Okay.
You cannot hunt the day that you fly. So,
And that's kind of what we're leaning towards is that if you launch a drone, you can use it to recover it, but you won't be able to hunt that day. Especially now, if it's where it's at now is basically it restricts the use of it for hunting. That's already in place, but we want to kind of back off of that to where you'll be able to use it to locate and have it in regulation that you'll be able to use it to locate.
I'm in agreement with you, and I have been for a long time, but that's the way I see it. Like you gut shot a deer, or you got your 12-year-old kid doesn't know exactly what they're doing, haven't been doing it for long. They gut shot a deer.
Shot it in the neck.
Yeah, something like that,
Yeah.
I feel like you should be able to use the resources that you have to do that animal justice and recover it. And if that be thermal drone.
Yeah,
and
the problem is going to be there's a lot of nefarious things that you can do with one as well. We all know that.
Oh yeah,
You could you could take a windy day and go find deer all day long with a drone and sneak up on them. And like I said, luckily that's illegal, but there's got to be and I think it's a consensus and we'll see regulations that are in our regulation book that say that you'll be able to use it to recover a dead deer, but probably to not pursue that animal if it's still alive. If it's setting up with its head up, I think the way the law will be, and I'm not the only writer of this law, so I'm just telling you what. But you won't be able to finish him off,
Yeah.
So, it right now we're telling folks currently that it's the same as with a dog. If you're tracking with a dog, you've got to contact your game warden. You can go in and locate it and then come back out and go in and get it as long as you're not armed.
Was there anything else that you?
Yeah. I asked this question to Logan earlier. I seen this earlier.
Geez.
And I asked Logan, and I told him I was going to ask you. I was just looking for things to talk about. and you can tell me what you think. I saw this on Meat Eater on Facebook earlier. I'll shout them out because they're who I got the idea from. But if you were on public land and you walk, so it's public land, you walk up to somebody's trail camera, you have a card reader. You're not there to like mess anything up. You're not breaking
stealing.
anything. You're not stealing anything. Do you check and see what's there? What's your answer?
So if you're out on the lake, you're the kind of guy that checks other people's.
I didn't say I was. I didn't say I was. I just
other
said
people's jug line.
I didn't say that. I haven't answered the question. I didn't even tell Logan what my answer was yet, but
Oh, jeez.
It is on public land, isn't it?
I'll tell you what a lot of the Meat Eater guys said. Most of them said, no, I leave it alone. But there were some that were like, public land. I'm checking to see what's on there.
That's funny. I have checked somebody's jugs before. Like, pull it up and like, golly, that's a good one.
You're just
Drive off.
throwing yourself under the bus.
Yeah,
this
I
whole
know.
Did you bring your ticket book?
Yeah. I just leave one with me.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But-
we used to write a lot of tickets for that when I was younger and worked the lake a lot. You can sit on a jug line and on a Saturday morning, will be a lot of people.
That is terrible.
Now, I don't know if they're taking them, but it cleared.
My
the
kids
pit.
talked me into it.
I've never. I will say this: I've never taken the fish off the hook and kept the fish, but I have seen a noodle or something going crazy, and I'm like, ooh,
Wonder what's on that.
I want to see what that is.
Yeah.
I just want to get a look at it. I don't want to keep it. I
This
just
one
wanna get a
seems
look
lost. I'm just trying to find the owner to
at
this.
it. Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's hilarious.
So what's your answer?
I'd leave it alone.
You'd leave it alone?
I will say this though. I have been known to walk in front of some cameras with some people that I knew and showed them the old moon.
Yeah. That's funny.
I've always wanted to land a helicopter in front of one.
Oh, that would be good.
I've
That would
landed
be
one
good.
time in a field to pee or something, and there was a trail cam over, and I could see it over on a post, but I couldn't get in there because that was when the idea was born, and I thought one of these days I'm gonna find one like out on a post out looking at a field, and it gives me enough room I can just land right beside it and then take off.
That'd be pretty funny.
So what's your answer?
Oh, man. I think I've thrown myself under the bus enough,
Well, I mean, it depends. There's a lot of states that you can't probably even have them, can't leave them. But I mean, from a legal standpoint, you're not tampering with, it's like a tree stand if someone leaves a tree stand on state property, there's really nothing. There's no law that says you can't climb up in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm not
No, you're not hurting.
I'm not hurting anything. I'm
you're
not stealing anything. I just
Only you would think of that.
Last year I put up a camera on public land, and when I went and checked it, there was plenty of guys that saw the camera. They were just like, "Hey," right in front, and never had anything wrong. I was really surprised, honestly.
I've had more cameras stolen on private property than I have public.
Well, that's
Stupid.
I don't think I've ever had one stolen.
Really?
I've had it on some kind of not really public land, but places that other people had access to that I was kind of worried about. Well, that bear hunting lease that I had at one point, there was a lot of folks that had access to that, and I thought, this is going to go missing. But
And one other thing that I can remember that I had to talk to you about is I want to, and I guess it could be, I don't know, I really want to hear the game warden stuff.
Yeah.
What is the craziest story you have had as a game warden?
craziest story, man.
I'm sure
And
there's.
does it
I'm sure
involve
there's.
somebody that we know
I'm sure.
personally?
I'm sure there's a lot of them.
You know, I'll get to that. I was thinking this morning though, we were out checking dove hunters, and I remember one time I had this guy that was in cleat with me wanted to go ride with me, and he was a cop, and I'm like, yeah, I'll pick you up at wherever. So he jumps in the truck with me, and we pull up, and we're driving down the road, and I hear a gunshot off a pond bank, you know, and I'm like, oh, that's a dove hunter. It was like the second or third, so I turned around, and he had heard it too, and I said, hey, that's going to be somebody dove hunting. So we turn around, hide in my truck, you know. And he had just got off work, so he's still in his uniform, you know. And I heard he opened the door, and I'm getting out, and I heard him clear leather. He drew his pistol. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, they're armed. I said, everybody checks armed. I said, put your pistol up. he was going to go up there at gunpoint and check these dove hunters. I'm like, dude, come on. Oh, man, there's so many crazy stories. Probably the one, and I'll try to keep it semi-short. It was a long time ago, but it's up there in craziness. And so this park ranger calls me. There was an area that I patrolled that was closed to hunting, and this park ranger had found this deer that had definitely been shot. And he's like, man, I just wanted you to know about it. And I said, well, we're serving a search warrant at a guy's house, and I said, I'm a little tied up. I said, would you sit on it? And this was like the night before deer season. I said, do you have time to sit on it? And I said, if anybody comes
And this
there,
guy was what now?
he was a state park ranger.
Okay.
I said, would you sit back, find you a place to hide and watch this deer? And if someone shows up, to get it, stop them. And so we go serve this warrant in another county, and we're coming back and driving down the road, and and he gets on the radio. This was before phones, probably. This was a long time ago. But he hollers at me on the radio. He goes, hey, wildlife, whatever. And he said, I have a vehicle stopped. He said, I'm pretty sure they let some folks out where that deer was at. I said, okay. There's a little bit of radio silence. He comes back and he goes, by the way, they're senior citizens. So we show up, and there are two old women in this car. One of them was driving. One in the back was just hammered drunk. And they had like a big old hunting knife and a sheet. They came to skin a deer out.
Oh my gosh.
So we get to talk. I get to talking to this park ranger, and he said, I'm certain someone got out there. He said, I could see in the silhouette of the moon. He said, I couldn't tell if it was one or two, but he said, someone got out there. So I'm like, okay. And so we start talking to these old ladies, and the one, I mean, she wouldn't. She had told the other one, I might have had a recording in my truck, and she's telling her to, she's telling her to keep her mouth shut. So when we get up there, I mean, she's cussing me like a sailor. Says she didn't let nobody out, blah, blah, blah. My partner at the time, he's like, okay. She was 78.
78.
He said, okay. He said, but I'm going to tell you right now, if we go up there and find a deer and one of your buddies laying by it, I'm going to come get you and you're going to jail. Okay. So we devised this plan that he's going to get on the back of my game warden truck on the tailgate. We're going to drive down there, and I'm just going to kind of drive by slow, and he's just going to step off and just listen. And that's exactly what we did. I could feel him. I could feel the weight come off of my truck. He stepped off, and I mean, the second he did, I heard someone yell. Like maybe just 2 seconds later, I'm 50 feet down the road, and I just stopped. I thought, okay, the plan's busted. And I jump out, and I hit him with my flashlight. He's in a fight in the middle of the road with this guy who's like 60. And the guy had shined a light on him, and this guy was laying by the deer, and he jumps up, and they get in this tussling match. And by the time I can get my truck stopped and get back there, they're in this wrestling match, and he gets him down, gets him handcuffed. And I'm shining my flashlight around, and I'm looking, and there's the deer. The deer's laying like right in the ditch. And right beside the deer is another old man laying. He's like in a fetal position laying by this deer. And So
They're just out for a good time.
Oh, they're just having them Friday night.
That's awesome.
And so we went back. We had a deputy follow her home, so we knew where she lived. We went back and arrested her too, and they all went to jail. But here's the crazy part. Again, true story. Call me a liar. It's a true story. Years later, I could probably decipher it. I don't know. We'll say 5 years later at least. I remembered this old man's name for whatever reason. And I don't know, you guys probably too young to remember this, but I followed, and it was out in western Oklahoma, and I was already back over here working as a game warden, but I got the Daily Oklahoman, and my dad was in the hospital, and they told us, he'd be kind of in and out, talk to him, and what am I trying to say? Engage him, even if he doesn't act like, because he had a surgery or something. I brought the Daily Oklahoman to the hospital that morning, and I'm sitting here. I had reading the Daily Oklahoman, and I see the obituary that this old man had died, and for whatever reason, he was in the. It may have been in the. I still get the newspaper from out there, by the way, from my first assignment. They still sent it to me, and I bet it was that newspaper. Well, I'm reading this article, and he had been killed in a vehicle wreck. If you've ever spent any time out in western Oklahoma, there's all these four-way intersections.
Yes.
There's no stop signs on any of them.
And the roads are like sand.
Oh, and people drive like maniacs.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw that this guy died, and I won't throw him under the bus and tell you his name, but I set the newspaper down, and I start telling my dad this story that I just told you guys. I'm talking. He ain't doing nothing but sitting there. And a minute later, I thought, I wonder what really happened to him. I don't think I'd read that he'd been in a car wreck. I just had saw his name, and it's his name of such and such town. I'm like, that's him. So I start telling my dad the story. So I pick up the newspaper, and I'm reading, and I see that he had been involved in a car wreck. And guess who he had run into? That other game warden.
Oh, gosh.
True story. I think he was, I don't remember if he was still working. He may have retired, but he was, that's who they ran into each other and killed the guy.
Oh, my God.
At a four-way
What
intersection. I don't even remember who was at fault, but yeah.
Was the other guy okay?
Yeah, he got hospitalized, but he
My gosh, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
That is, wow.
But yeah, that's another story I probably shouldn't tell, but I will because it's public knowledge. It was in the newspaper, actually. Working the decoy, I've seen some wild.
I was going to ask about
wild
that.
things have happened over the years. But
Well, hold on. Is there a chance that we could sit?
I was going to ask the same thing.
I want to see this in action.
video,
Yeah.
Man, it's times are different. Obviously, everyone knows about the decoy deer, and so it's back when I first started. It wasn't a matter of if you went out and set it on a good day of it, whether it was going to be shot or not. It's how many times.
Oh, gosh.
Now you might work half season, and not get anybody. People just don't. I know people road hunt. I'm not that naive, but it's not the same.
Is that because, I mean, if, in my opinion, I would have to assume that it's because now the repercussions
I think
are
it's
just
repercussions.
so much steeper than they were back then.
And let's be honest, you can go out and see at any given day. There's so many deer. Seeing a deer is not a big deal. And back, 20, 25 years ago, you could drive around and see deer everywhere, and you might hunt, especially does. If you're looking for a doe, or a buck, but you know what I'm saying. Look, for a deer in general, they're just, the numbers weren't there, and the repercussions. People have realized it's an expensive adventure to shoot a deer off the road, and. But I was working the decoy one time. I'll leave the county out, doesn't matter. But we were working the decoy Thanksgiving Day. So there's no government operations going on other than game wardens and maybe some troopers working that day. And I'm sitting on a hill. The decoy is across the road from me. And I see a truck come over the hill, and it's a county vehicle.
Oh.
And they drive past me, and I start slipping down to the road, and I'm like watching them, and I'm thinking, and they stopped, and I went, oh no. And a guy climbs out, shoots at the decoy.
With a government weapon.
No, not law enforcement. Not
Okay.
law enforcement.
Okay.
So, and I thought, oh crap. So I'm trying to holler at my partner on the radio. This guy jumps in the truck, and the second he does, I heard this, and I thought, what the crap was that? And a boom, and I jumped out in the road and yelled game warden, and boom, off they went. Partner stops him, and I said, hey, I think they shot a hole in the floorboard.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
They did. Yeah.
Oh, man. Shot the transmission out of it.
Yeah. No, it kept going. Oh, it was a big deal. It made, local news, and
I'm going to have to look that up.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Got to know where that's at. That's funny.
yeah, you see, I mean, some of the crazy stuff I've seen, you see it even in fishing. I mean, my partner and I one time pulled up to this boat, and we always make a concerted effort. If we're going to ask you for your fish license, I saw you fishing. And so, as a man and woman, 2 kids, and if they're helping their kids, but they were flailing the water. Both of them are fishing away, and I pull up and like, hey, how y'all doing? Hey, the guy was just friendly as could be. He's like, hey, man, I'm good. I said, cool. I said, I need to, all the normal stuff, catching any fish, blah, blah, blah. And I said, hey, you got your license handy? And he goes, yeah. And he pulls the license out and hands it to me. And I said, okay, cool. I said, what about you, ma'am? Do you have your license? And he just, like this blank stare goes at him. He looks at me, goes, why does she need her license? And I'm telling you guys, as I'm sitting here, she was fishing big time.
Yeah.
And he just stops and he's like, why does she need her license? And I said, sir, she's fishing or I wouldn't ask her for it. And he goes, why does she need her? Beep? And this deal went off a cliff from there. He starts screaming, yelling, calling us everything, but, whatever. Ends up throwing his tackle box in the lake. And I told him, and it floated, thank goodness. And I said, you can either jump in and grab that. You can grab that, or I'll write you a ticket for littering. So he jumps out of the boat and starts swimming around, picking up all the crap, threw fishing poles in the water. I mean, just went crazy.
Oh, my.
And then, I don't know, I could sit and talk all night. I'll give you one more. It was muzzleloader season. This was over in this country. It's been probably, my first stint. Muzzleloader season, I was sitting at a gas station, actually drinking a Mountain Dew, and which I used to love and can't have anymore. But and having my chocolate donut 6-pack, and I'm sitting there, and I hear it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. It's like 30 minutes after daylight or whatever. And I hear this truck, and I can't see it. It's like behind the intersection, but it's coming out of the intersection. This is at Westville, I'll just tell you. And I see this, and then here, boom, they're in front of me. And they get to the end of this big, long parking lot I'm sitting in, and a bottle comes out the window. They threw a bottle at a sign. And I thought, oh, boy, here we go. So I jump on, pull in behind them, and following them, and I kick my lights on, and the guy starts pulling over, and I can see the passenger. I mean, they're having a full-on combo, and he's telling him to go. He's telling him to run, and he pulls over, and they're talking for a minute, and then boom, off the race is on, and this guy, I chased these guys for like 45 minutes. I mean, it started with the passenger rolled the window down and was sitting in the seat, throwing everything in the truck at me. It started, he was throwing full cans of beer at me, bouncing them off my windshield at 100 mile an hour. One time he threw a tarp out the window. If you've never seen a tarp come out the window, it's pretty impressive. At 100 mile an hour, it looked like Batman. It went woof and opened up, and I'm like, ah! I mean, I run off in the ditch and come back on, and he threw the this truck had like a center console through the center console.
Oh God.
At least once, maybe twice, I was right off his tail, and he locked his brakes up trying to get me to hit him. He's some bad dudes.
Did you ever like get any backup or anything?
Well, yeah, it didn't end well. The trooper, I yelled. I mean, the county's trying to get to me. They couldn't get to me, and a trooper stops him on a side road, and he tried to run the trooper over, and that didn't end well for him. But
Wow.
yeah,
I bet not.
no.
You see some crazy stuff out there.
Oh, it's it's. I mean, it's every day. It's not every day, but there's lots of stories.
Going back to the you were talking about fishing and stuff a while ago. I have a question. It's about this area, and it's not necessarily in Oklahoma. It's not in Oklahoma.
Good. I can say whatever I want.
Okay. So a long time ago, I used to go down there all the time, but now down at Spavinaw, down north of Cherokee City,
What's the name of
that
place?
is apparently that has been deemed non-navigable. Is that true?
Man, that's one of those $1 million questions that I don't know that I can answer because it brings in lots of what we've been trained and told people is that when you look at those navigable rivers, what they call navigable rivers, are a lot of my understanding is it's like some of our really bigger rivers, the Arkansas River and that sort of thing. But what we tell people to this day, whether and I think the courts have upheld it, is that if you can float in Oklahoma, if you can float a river or a creek system and not touch the bottom or not get out and stand on the bottom, then you can do it.
So if this mile section of the creek, I don't have to get out, I can float that mile section
in Oklahoma,
back and forth.
100%.
And then it comes to a spot where I would have to get out.
Yep.
Then
You're on somebody's property.
okay, so that was my next question. Like you see you see videos all the time of people fishing and somebody comes up to them and they might have entered the creek or river, whatever, in waders or just walking in flip-flops if it's summertime, and they walked up the river. And that guy says, "Hey, you're on my property." He's like, "No, I'm not. I'm in the river. You don't own the water." He owns the ground underneath.
Yes.
Yes. That's what I thought, but
Yes.
I just figured I'd clear it up.
Yep.
Good question.
That's a good question. That's our understanding, and that's how we handle it.
Now you have the giggers that have the 60 horse,
Oh, I know.
and they can just plow through the gravel and
And there's been we all know the stories of problems that have crept up over the years on some of our gigging creeks, and those folks that deal with that, the landowners, you would be surprised how many. I'll just use Uchi. How many people walk up to that and just nonchalantly, and they'll walk. We run into it a lot, and that's what's probably made those folks a little less willing to work with with people that are trying to do it right. But yeah, I mean, it's no different than taking off from Uchi gigging headed up the creek. As long as you're not standing outside or you're not touching bottom, it's navigable water.
It's navigable.
I don't know that it's the true definition of like federally navigable water, but that water doesn't belong to them. The land does. So, yeah.
that does clear it up. Really.
Yeah.
So,
Well, man, this was a good one. I enjoyed this one
I enjoyed it.
a lot. I appreciate you coming by, Hank.
I'm sure you'll be hearing from me soon. I'll have a question or something. So I'll give you a call.
Yeah.
well, it's an ever changing. Our rules and regs change a lot. I know they do, which is kind of what we talked about. But yeah.
Well, that's good that they have I mean, there's a sheet in the magazine, the Rules and Regs magazine that tells changes and
Right.
updates and stuff.
Right.
Like, hey, we kind of fudged up the wording here. This is what it means.
Yeah.
That's good that they do that.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of stuff in there that I don't understand, and that's why I got Hank's phone number.
There you go.
Call him.
Yeah.
Call me.
Yeah.
For those of you who want Hank's phone number, it's nah, I'm just
It's in the regs.
Yeah.
I'm the first district chief, so I usually get nine times out of 10. You know, if someone calls a game warden in their county and doesn't get them, or they have a complaint, they start calling those chiefs numbers, and I'm the number one number.
oh man.
And
Oh,
so
boy.
I can't tell you how many times I'll get a phone call on my work phone, and it's like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, stop, hold on. Where are you calling from? Norman. Let me get you the right number. Let me hook you up with the right
That's
person.
You're on the phone a lot, huh?
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed this one. This was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It's fun. I hope you can come back. We can talk about some other things. I know that, we've talked about the McGirt.
Yeah.
Don't have time to get into it right now, but I'd love to talk
Yeah,
about
that's
that.
a whole different monster. I mean, that could be an episode, and I, it's interesting to me, and it's ever changing.
Mm-hmm.
You know where we're headed with what that's going to look like and how it's going to affect hunters and fishermen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've been saying it, I think, in every episode, if we don't do our job of raising up the next generation, we're not going to have conservation.
No, that's something that as an agency that I think is probably our number one priority right now is being relevant to help with a lot of different things, and be out there, and we talk about relevance, but it's retention, keeping our hunters that we have, and recruitment. Us as hunters are kind of becoming a little bit of a dinosaur.
Well, that's what I was kind of thinking a while ago too. Whenever you were talking about how you used to have, it was how many people were going to shoot the decoy a day,
Oh,
and now it's like
our job has changed so much.
I just think I feel like it's, for one, the consequences are a lot more, strict. They're a lot worse consequences, and could it be just because there's just less people that hunt?
Well, there are less people that hunt for sure, right?
Yeah, our numbers. If you look at our numbers of licenses sold, haven't changed dramatically.
Oh, really?
Believe it or not.
That's awesome.
But most states have, and most states are. I mean, our numbers are on a big time slide in a lot of places, and I think it's the nature of what we do. I mean, it's kind of like going back to you. You don't want to tell people where you hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so protective of that. And it's like taking someone. You could take someone dove hunting though, or take them. You don't have to show them where your honey hole deer spotted. Take them dove hunting. Take them squirrel hunting. Hook them on. I'll say this and I'll shut up. I don't know that I'd ever read your synopsis of the Battle Branch Boys
Oh, yeah.
on Facebook, and I got to reading that yesterday, and I'm like, I was kind of getting all welled up and sweaty-eyed, thinking about all of the time that I've spent in that hollow,
The Battle Branch.
on the Battle Branch, the big rock, and that's where I learned to fish, where I learned to trap, where I learned to coon hunt, where I learned to love what I do, and having a place that kind of, as a kids, we had free reign of that place.
Yeah. For sure.
And now that's a lot of that's changed.
It has.
My mom lived just right down the road,
Yeah.
and she said she had a 3-wheeler, and she would come down to their house and hang out with them, and they just had free reign of the
Oh,
place.
man. Talking to your grandma, Janet's, and Donna Jane, I'd go into S&P and have the kids, and she's like, what are you guys up to now, Logan? What are you doing today? And I said, well, I've been at the Battle Branch. We've been at the Big Rock. And she started telling me stories of her being down there when she was a kid, and that's crazy.
It's crazy.
And that's just the generations that we know of. Imagine
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
The things that have went on. I like thinking about history and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Imagine the things that went on there.
That's
back before, you know.
there are tons of artifacts in that
Absolutely.
hollow.
Absolutely. I was sitting there today thinking about, man, why haven't I been looking for arrowheads on this place? You know that there were.
Oh, they're there.
They're there. Yeah, they're there. Amazing.
That may be a video.
No kidding.
You know,
Yeah.
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be cool.
You go find some arrowheads down there. I'll build a bow and we'll try to kill a deer.
Yeah.
All homegrown.
Yeah. Oh man, thanks, Hank.
You bet.
Appreciate you being here,
You bet. Thanks for
and
having
we got a hat
Appreciate
for you here. I don't know if you like these kind of hats.
I
But,
love hats.
Yeah,
You bet.
but we appreciate you
Thank
being on, and appreciate your knowledge and the stories and friendship that we've had for I don't know, lots of years.
Lots
so.
of years.
Man, thanks for listening, everybody. We're episode we got 3 down, so we're gonna be letting them fly here pretty soon. So
Cool. Can't-
anyway, thanks for coming.
You bet.
We'll see you guys later.
See you next time.